Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to take a very quick look at the game Puzzle Me. This game is for 2 to 6 players, ages 6 and up, and the average play time is about 10 to 20 minutes. In this game, players are going to be playing puzzle pieces in front of them in an attempt to make their puzzle as large as they can make it in order to win the game. Let's just take a quick moment to look at the components and see how the game is played. Now, the components for this game are actually really simple. Each player starts with one of these 4 connector pieces. They are red in color. As far as the rest of the pieces are concerned, you've got 3 main colors. You've got green, blue, and orange. The green piece has 3 flat sides and 1 connector. The blue piece has 2 flat sides and 2 connectors. And the orange piece has 1 flat side and 3 connectors. And players will be drawing these throughout the game in order to build their puzzle. Now, as far as the rest of the components, players will be rolling this die to determine how many pieces are drawn on their turn. And finally, you have these karma tokens. Players will be switching these around the table as the game plays, mainly as players attack, quote-unquote, other players. But these factor in during endgame scoring in a negative fashion, and I'll explain that in a minute. Setup and gameplay are also really easy. As I mentioned earlier, each player starts with one of these red connector pieces and 2 karma tokens. And on a player's turn, they'll simply roll the die and draw that many tiles, either from the bag or from the face-down stack, however you want to do it. And let's just assume that this player rolled a 2. So they would flip over 2 tiles and have to try and place them into their own personal puzzle. So let's just say that the player goes ahead and connects these 2. And puts this one. Obviously these ones are kind of more difficult to place because they sort of block expansion. The green ones are nasty. So we'll go ahead and just do that. And once a player has placed all of their pieces, or as many as they can, their turn ends. Now, I mentioned earlier that a player can quote-unquote attack another player. Instead of placing a puzzle piece onto their own puzzle, a player can decide to play a puzzle piece on their opponent's puzzle. Especially in the case of these green ones, where expansion is sort of limited. These will really mess up your opponent if you can get them on the right space. So let's just say that this player decides to play a green puzzle piece on their opponent and stops them from expanding on this side. In order to do that, he would have to take one of these karma tokens and put it into his own pile. It's worth noting that a player that does not have any karma tokens cannot be victim of such attacks. So now, these karma tokens give players -1 points per token at the end of the game. So players do have a few different ways of playing. They can just concentrate on their own puzzle and try and build it up as much as they can, or they can decide to play aggressively and play puzzle pieces on other players to stop them from expanding. But they'll be accumulating negative points, and that might actually cause them to lose at the end of the game. So there's a few different strategies to think about as you're playing the game. Now, the game ends when one player manages to completely block off all possible expansions on their puzzle, meaning that no matter what piece you draw, it would be impossible to expand it any further. Other players get to take one last turn, and then final scoring is done. Basically, each player will count up how many puzzle pieces they have on their personal puzzle and subtract out how many karma tokens they have. And the player with the most points at the end of the game wins. Now, just to quickly illustrate, Vinny and I are going to go ahead and play through a few practice turns. Vinny, you can go ahead and roll the die. What'd you get? 5? Go ahead and draw 5. Alright. So you've got a few different pieces there. Alright, 1. 2. My OCD is kicking in. Okay. Alright. Very good. So, all of his placements were legal. Now, it's worth noting that when you are placing these pieces on the table, they have to connect to the main puzzle in some way. For example, this piece has a flat side here, and this piece has a flat side. You wouldn't be able to play this piece. Even though they are adjacent to each other, they don't actually connect. These two flat sides are just against each other, and that's it. That's not legal. However, if this piece were to connect to the main puzzle in such a way, that would be okay. Alright, now it's my turn. I rolled a 5. And, alright. So I'll go ahead and place this one here. This one here. And this one here. And this one here. And I'll go ahead and play offensively. I'll go ahead and put this green piece, I'll have to take a karma token to do that, but I'll go ahead and put that right there. And that would end my turn. And there you have it. That's just a very brief look at the game Puzzle Me. You can check out my review at www.dadsgamingaddiction.com, or you can simply click on the link in the below description. That'll take you there as well. This is Vincent Vinny Jr. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.